someone very special to us, and very, very prominent in the housing market. We have Dr. Crumpton here from JP and Associates, Team Crumpton. She's going to come and discuss with us the current housing market as we navigate outside of the pandemic. She's also
Yeah.
going to be able to talk about what's current in the current housing market. So we want to say to you, welcome, Dr. Crumpton. Welcome to our
Welcome.
platform.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm excited about this opportunity because it's difficult right now, but as it's the best of times at the worst of times, all at the same time, but it's going to work out.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
happy about that.
yes, yes. Well, let's start off. We're going to jump right in because today we're only going to do an hour,
Yeah.
and that hour is going to be fully impact with information. So we want to bombard you, and we've also welcomed people. If you have questions, those who are watching us live, if you have questions for Dr. Crumpton, please type them out in the chat. Chantel and I will be looking at them, and we will be posing your questions as well. Okay. Okay. With one of the things that we've noticed over the time since I was listening to the news, and it was talking about this shortfall that had happened in the housing market since 2008. Has it been since 2008 that we've had this shortfall in the housing market?
Well, in 2008, you remember that there was a drop, a drastic drop, and we did recover. This is something interesting. However, Texas never hit rock bottom,
Okay.
where other states and major cities lost a lot of homes. People lost their homes to foreclosure, bankruptcy. Texas never hit that low. So we have actually never really seen a shortfall. And when I say shortfall, I mean a shortage so much that we could not sell houses to others.
Okay.
This market now, which is different,
Mhm.
much different than 2008, we have to look at it from a different perspective.
And so when you say different, can you share with us like what that means? Because I'm quite sure people are like, what is this? We keep hearing on the news about this is a seller's market and this and
Mhm.
that. What does that mean for the person who hasn't got into the housing market but wants to get into the housing market?
Yeah, so what that means is, and let me speak because it's actually countrywide, although we all have different markets,
Mhm.
depending on what state you're in. There is this wave across the United States where it is a seller's market. Sellers out there now are selling their homes for astronomical prices. It's an interesting, and I really want to just hone in on Texas at this point. We have never seen it to this degree before, where people are being qualified, actually approved to purchase a home that does not exist. Um, Honestly, during the pandemic, we didn't really see where people weren't selling. People bought more homes during this last year than they bought before. People are being approved for mortgages above and beyond what they would normally be approved for. But there is nothing out there because it is a seller's market. There are so many people bidding on the same house
Mm.
until may the highest bidder win. Here's the unfortunate piece, that investors are coming in and swallowing the market. There is a new concept out there, actually, where there's a company, there are several companies. One is here in Texas that they will approve you for a home. And they will go in and buy the home cash for you above whatever anybody else purchases, because they're a cash deal. And you know, people want cash money for their homes. They don't want to go through a long process. They don't want to wait on you. They want to close in 10 days. And so when this company approves you for a home, you have to realize that whatever fees are attached to them being that investor, all those fees will be put back into your loan.
Mm.
And you'll get a higher interest rate. So that's what's coming in. Investors are coming in, swallowing up the market and leaving people high and dry. And if you noticed, there are apartments coming up everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, on every other corner, you see a brand new set of apartments. One of the things is when people sell, because there's really nowhere to go, they're going into apartments and storing their stuff until they're able to find something to purchase. And they're taking that money and running, right?
Right.
People are taking the money and running. It's interesting to see.
That's one of our questions also we were going to ask you. With the market being a buyer's market, a seller's market,
Seller's market. Mhm.
would you suggest someone selling their home, getting into an apartment until they can buy a house or able to be qualified for a new home?
Well, I don't want to suggest that. It depends on um, what your objective is for selling. Some people purchase to sell, right?
Right.
Some people purchase to sell, so they know that the next step is to go somewhere until the market corrects itself. Um, if you need the money, if the money is important to you, if you bought for that purpose, go for it, because people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking and over what they owe. So
Okay.
if you do decide to sell, get it in your mind that you're going to go somewhere until the market corrects itself.
Right.
And when the market corrects itself, don't spend all of that money that you're getting, put it
Right.
away, let it make money for you, and then just have a 2 to 5 year plan in place. So you're not just getting out and not having anywhere else to go. You got to have a plan.
Right. Right. Okay.
Now with that, because we were talking about it, Chantel and I were talking about it, and so doing that, you're still going to pay an astronomical amount in
Right.
rent.
Mhm.
That's true.
I mean, rent is probably in some cases more than some of the
And you know
mortgage
more?
payments,
Yeah.
right? So is that a really a good? I mean, I guess you get the money on the front end. You get your money
Right.
on the front end. Well, with that being said, let me. I don't want to dwell there. Um, do you think there's going to be a turn back to? You mentioned becoming it stable itself. So, do you think it's going to do that?
Is it going to correct itself? Yeah.
Correct itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Economists say that it's going to correct itself. But when it corrects itself, whether it goes back to the way it was before, we are not sure, right?
Mhm.
What's interesting about Texas, and I really, because I am licensed in Texas, I just want to make sure that I make my statements from that perspective. The housing market in Texas is becoming like California,
Right.
where people are being
Mhm.
priced out of the market, right? So we don't know what's going to happen when it corrects itself. We know that right now, the interest rates are low. Oh my goodness, that alone is attractive. When you can
Mhm.
still get a 2 point something, a 3.25 to get a home that you probably wouldn't be able to afford any other time. Um, when it corrects itself, what does that look like? Does that mean that interest rates are going to increase? Bottom lines are what you qualify for. Are they going to, would you be able to purchase less house because the interest rate has increased? Will the housing market go down? Will the sale price go down? Right now, what they are saying is it's going to stay like this for another couple years.
Oh,
So what
wow.
we are seeing right now, we will be seeing for a little longer than was anticipated at first.
Wow,
Wow.
wow, wow.
It's
So,
interesting. I didn't mean to cut you off, Charlene, but I want to say this. Um, what we've seen, and it's so hardening, heartbreaking, if you will. If people don't bid like their life depends on it, they will not win the house.
Oh,
There, people
wow.
are doing different things in this market than I've never seen before to be able to win a bid on a house. For instance, um, giving up an option period. So the option period is the time where you put a little money down, take the house off the market. It gives you an option to get an inspection report and pull out and get your earnest money back, right? Because if something's wrong with the inspection, or you just decided not to go forward with the house. If you have an option period, you can opt out. You won't, you
Mhm.
lose your option fee, but you'll get all that earnest money back. People are foregoing an option period
Hmm.
right now. They'll take the house regardless of what the inspection looks like. To win the bid, they will forego the option period. That's something that we've never seen before.
That's
wow,
very interesting
Yeah.
and disturbing at the same time.
it is,
Mhm.
it is, it is. So, so what kind of walk us through what does it look like for a person to, at this point in the game,
Right.
what does it look like for, say, and I'm going to do both sides, a
Okay.
person who has an existing home
Hmm.
and they want to sell, they want to, it doesn't matter down or upsize, but they want to sell their home but they want to get something different. They want to move a new neighborhood, they want to start anew. What do they need to do that? And what is a person who is living in an apartment right now who says, I want to capsize on this. I want to purchase a home. I'm not selling anything, but I want to get into this because the interest rates are good. Okay, and I can
Hmm.
qualify for something lower. So what do I need to do? What does that look like now?
So that's a good question.
Hmm.
I don't want to discourage anyone from getting into the housing market. In my opinion, purchasing a home is always the best investment you can make, regardless of the market. Anytime you purchase a home, you are sowing into your future. Whether it's upside down right now, you sit on it, it will come top side up years later. You
Right.
just have to sit there, right? And wait. So I don't want to discourage anybody from getting into the game. It is the best investment you can make. So if you decide that's what you want to do, just know that you're going to have to do you don't have as many leniencies
Mm.
in this market as you would if it were a buyer's market. Remember, it is not a buyer's market.
This is
So
true.
although you're in it, you have to realize from what perspective you're purchasing this home. It's from the seller's perspective. How does the seller see the market? The seller wants to get the best and the highest for their investment, right? But if you can see it that way and you are willing to do what it takes to get you a home, then by all means go for it. Please, please go for it, because owning or renting an apartment is never going to work for you. You're paying somebody else's mortgage, right?
Mhm.
You have no responsibility of your own. You have no power in a community. You're just sitting on something and losing money. So I want to always encourage people to get into the mortgage or the real estate game. It is worth it. Now, to get in as a realtor, this is not the time. If you're new, this is not the time. You need to be established to get in to the real estate game on the realtor side, because right now what is maintaining the realtors, especially in Texas, is that you have a clientele, you have experience, and you understand the market.
Okay.
So for a seller right now, as I said earlier, if you want to sell, go for it. But just know that you need a plan in place for where you're going to go from here, how long you'll be there, and when you want to purchase again. Put that money away, sit
Mhm.
on it, don't use it. And let me tell you one other thing too to do, seller. While you're adding or while you are making or creating this plan, put in place, now how much is my rent going to be for the next 2 to 5 years? So you can pull that money out of your equity that you get, set it aside, and your rent will be paid until you're ready to purchase the next property. So that's kind of, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah,
You did. Yeah, you
Went
did.
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the types of home loans that are out there and who can qualify for what loans?
Yeah, so that's a good question because people are not aware. There's the FHA loan and the VA loan. Both of those are government-backed loans. All right. And then there's the conventional loan. That is a private loan, meaning there are private investors that carry that mortgage. The FHA and the VA loans, the VA loan is for, of course, a veteran or somebody that's in the military. An FHA loan is a real good loan for a first-time home buyer. And I want to say, unfortunately, in this market, the FHA loan is really the last loan that sellers are looking for, unless you're willing to sign a document that says, regardless of what the appraisal is, I still want to buy this house. Okay. So an
Well, can you
FHA
explain-
loan,
can you pause there and explain that? What does that
yeah.
mean?
So it's an appraisal addendum saying, let's say the house is on the market for 350 and you offer 375. Okay. But the house comes back, the appraisal comes back at 349. You're willing to take the house regardless of what the appraisal came back at, and you're just going to bring the extra to the table.
And you can sign an addendum for
There is
the
an appraisal
FHA?
addendum.
Okay.
Yes. And that means regardless of what it comes back at, you're willing to bring that extra money to the table and purchase that home.
Okay. And that's for FHA, right?
That's for any loan at
Okay.
this point. That's for any loan. But I brought that up for FHA because that's one of the critical documents. Because in an FHA loan, a government-backed loan, it has to appraise, right? And the seller, without this document, the seller has to bring the price of that house down to whatever it appraises for, right? On a conventional loan, you don't even have to sign that. If the appraisal comes back, it is again a private investor loan. If the appraisal comes back at 340 and you want to pay 375, and you say to the seller, hey, that appraisal came back at 340, they'll say, hey, what do you want to do? Because it's a negotiation piece. You have to bring the money to the table, or the seller can say, well, hey, I'm going to sell it to somebody else. So two different things, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with all the people out there trying to get this one house, that could
Yeah.
break or make a difference.
Right.
That's right. Who has the best deal on the table?
Right.
Who's willing to sell? Who's willing to sign the appraisal addendum? Who's willing to give up the option period? Who's willing to bring the most earnest money? Or if you take an option period, get this. Say you want a 3-day option. You pay $5,000 for a 3-day option. That sounds crazy. In other words, all you're going to do is take it off the market 3 days. If you decide you don't want it, you're going to lose $5,000 because that's what you put on the option fee. And guess
my
what?
goodness.
People are doing it. People are doing it.
Oh
So,
my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah,
Mom.
it's interesting right now.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again,
Well,
I'm not
it's
trying
not
to
that
make it
bad. It's
sound
that
bad.
good. I
Well,
guess it's
yeah,
that
it's
good for
Yeah,
well,
sellers.
it's
it's
that
bad for the
good.
buyers, but good for the sellers. That's what I mean.
Well, it can be good for the seller, for the buyer, if the buyer is willing to do what it takes. And again, I'm not trying to discourage anybody, because investing in real estate is the best investment you can make. For example, my daughter bought a house during the pandemic.
Mm.
She and her husband bought a house during the pandemic, I think it was in September last year. This is July. In June, we sold that house. Was it June? Yes, May or June. We sold that house and they walked away with almost a $60,000 profit.
Oh, wow.
That's 8 months: September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 9 months. They walked away with a profit. Okay. It was a little bit over $50,000. So it's worth the game, if you will. It's worth the investment. And they ended up purchasing their next dream home and walking away with money. So it's not, don't get afraid, don't be afraid, don't get scared. It is the best stock option you can get into, regardless if you're on the seller side or the buyer side. It's going to come back around and it's going to bless you one way or the other.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Wow, wow.
My
Okay,
goodness.
Chantel, you want to ask the next question? Because we have a lot of them.
So do you need a certain credit score to get a home loan?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you need a certain credit score to get a home loan?
Yes. So that's a good question too. It depends on the loan. Now they're more lenient with an FHA loan. Um, But the average credit score right now is between 650 and 680, which now in the game is low. 680 used to be a high credit score, used to be able to get a whole lot, but right now, between 650 and 680 is a good credit score. Now, I know some of you probably have a low 600, maybe even a high 500. There are mortgage companies out there right now that will get you qualified. They will make sure that you can purchase a house. Now, the difference is that your interest rate may not be as pretty as you want it to be. Your interest rate is going to compensate for that low credit score. The higher the score, the better the interest rate. So don't go out there thinking you got a low score and you can get a 2 point whatever. No, it doesn't work like that. Your credit score will demand your interest rate. The better the score, the better the interest rate.
What's considered a better score?
Um, Anywhere, honestly, right now, anything over 700, 680 and up is considered a great score right now. Uh, the credit market, just like everything else, is shifting upward, right? So the better that score, the better that interest rate.
Okay, okay. Um, with the fewer homes on the market right now, because there are a lot of less homes on the market, is it better to look at a newer home or a pre-existing home?
That's a fantastic question. I want to say that there are not less homes on the market.
Oh, they're not.
There
Okay.
are not less homes on the market, meaning it depends on what price range you're purchasing in,
Oh,
right? The thing about purchasing a new home right now, builders tell us that they are somewhere from 12 to 18 months out to build you a house. So right now, if you wanted to build new, it would be a year from now at least before you can move in, because they are backed up. One of the things is because of wood and materials coming from Asia. It's backed up. They can't get it through customs. So not only are the housing prices going up to build, the time to build has gone up to at least 11 months, 11 to 12 months from now. They were building in 4 to 6, right? 90 days, anywhere to 120 days, you were moving in your house. And sometimes 6 months, depending on what the weather was. But now it's 12 to 18 months. So my suggestion is, if you are ready to get into a house now, go ahead and purchase what's pre-existing. And I want to make one other note. The house you buy right now may not have everything you want in it. Let's just be realistic. It may not have everything you want. It may not be everything you want. But if you buy it in the right community, if you buy it in the right market of where it is versus what it's worth, it will work for you in the long run. And the next time you purchase, this won't be your forever home. You're buying it as an investment right now. When you're ready to purchase, somebody else will like it because you will have gone in and made a few improvements, not a lot, maintain that house. And then that investment will pay off. And then you can go get your forever home or your dream home or whatever. But don't look to buy what you really want. Just look at it as an investment that is better than a 401k.
Okay.
A 401k won't pay you that kind of money in less than a year.
No.
So.
Wow.
Okay.
Now you mentioned, so I'm stepping away from my questions, but you mentioned the forever home and your dream home. Like, how do you determine what that is? Or just a home to purchase for an investment? How do you determine where you are at that point? I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point and not get caught up in this money thing?
Yeah, so it's a choice, and really it's education, right?
Okay.
It's honestly education. People got to know how to buy, why to buy, and where to buy, because real estate is location, location, location. That's real estate. And people need to understand, why are you buying right now? Why are you purchasing in this market? You want a home, you want to get out of the apartment, you need more space, yada, yada, yada. Well, keep in mind that that's the best thing to do, but you're not going to get what you want because it's not a buyer's market. So although you're buying, right, buy with that in mind, that this is just getting you out of an apartment, right, into something that belongs to you, that will pay off soon later, right? Cast your bread up on the water and it will come back to you not many days hence, right? You are investing and you're going to make a big return if you maintain it, take care of it, and then you can go and get your other home.
Wow, that's some good wisdom right there. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right.
So you mentioned, okay,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, because you talked about mortgage companies helping to get you a loan if you don't have a good credit score. But is there ways that you can fix it before you get there so that you can get a better interest rate?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Everything you guys are asking is really, really good. But here is the thing about that. I suggest that you do not try to correct your own credit, because you could make it worse, especially if you don't understand what you're doing. My suggestion is that you go to a mortgage company that will pull your credit. They will look at it. They will tell you what you need to correct, what needs to be done. They could even recommend you to someone that can help you. But I say that's something you don't want to tackle on your own. It could take months, it could take years. And there are companies out there that are making you pay monthly.
Mhm.
Monthly, you pay a monthly $50, a monthly $99, a monthly something, and it takes forever to correct your credit. That's not the way to go. It does not have to be like that. Regardless of what your credit score is, you need a good mortgage company, not a bank. Let me make that clear. Banks don't do that. Banks are in it for the money, but mortgage companies can help you and show you what you need to do so you can be in the game. So that's my suggestion. Don't do it yourself. Let somebody help you that knows what you need.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. What is the best amount, what is the best deposit to put down for a first-time home buyer?
So a first-time home buyer is required, of course, if they do an FHA, to put down 3.5%.
Okay.
Now, there is also a 5% loan where they can put down 5%. FHA, being a government-backed loan, requires that you invest something. There used to be these first-time home buyer programs, and they do still exist in certain areas, but they're not as widespread as they used to be, because they want you to understand the investment that you're making. So they want you to put 3.5% or 5% down, depending on the loan program. This is one other thing I want to say too. You want to be prepared in your bank when you go for a home. Be prepared to have about anywhere from 6 to 10% of the sale price that you're trying to buy. That includes your down payment and your closing costs. Right now, sellers are not, hear me and I repeat, are not given money for closing costs. And here's another thing that sellers are looking at. They're not paying your title policy.
Mm.
They're not paying for a home warranty. They want a clean contract. So you need to have anywhere from 6 to 10% set aside to purchase a house, regardless of what kind of loan you get, whether it's VA. VA is the only one that really, because it is a veteran's loan, a military loan, they have more leniency. Of course, the government is backing them more than an FHA or conventional, which is a private lender loan. But either way, you should have anywhere from 6 to 10% set
Mhm.
aside for a new home.
Okay.
Wow, wow. So if a person is looking to, when you say $6,000 to $10,000, and that's of the sale of the purchase of the home,
No. 6 to 10%.
Percent.
percent, okay,
Yeah.
percent
So
of the
yes,
purchase of the home, okay.
correct.
And so how do they go about looking for, do they look for, okay, now this is the chicken before the egg question, okay? So do they look for the mortgage company, or do they sort out a realtor first and then get the mortgage company? Which comes first, chicken or the egg?
Now that is a fantastic, phenomenal question. Because if you have a good realtor will turn you on to a great mortgage company. So the question, the answer is the chicken or the egg, it doesn't matter. But
Okay.
I suggest, and this is me because I am a realtor, excuse me, that you go to a realtor that has a team, has a support structure. They already have a mortgage company with them. They already have a title company. They already have the resources in place to help you through the entire process. So you're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You're going to your bank and you're banking. Oh, and let me say this too. You don't want a pre-qualification. You want a pre-approval. meaning that the mortgage company has pulled your credit, has seen your all your bank statements and so forth and so on, and they can approve that you can qualify for this house. A pre-qualification is not the same thing. A pre-qualification, they haven't looked at your docs, they haven't examined anything. They're just writing you a letter saying, oh, okay, they can qualify, pre-qualify. That means we haven't done anything, but we're going to send them a pre-qualification. Get a pre-approval so that when the seller sees that you are already DU'd, you have a underwritten and a underwriting approval, an electronic approval, that they will consider you prior or before they would consider somebody with a pre-qualification.
Okay, all right. All right, well, here's the $10,000 question. How does
Okay.
a person find a good real? I'm being objective at this point, and I'm going to say a disclaimer because Dr. Crumpton was my realtor in my purchase of my home, so I'm a little biased. So I'm trying to be objective at this point. How does a person go about finding a realtor that works for them? Because see, here's the thing: every realtor doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
That's right.
Okay, so how does a person go about finding that realtor? And if it's not working, what do they do?
That's a good
That's
question.
good. That is a $25,000 question.
Okay,
Mhm.
Listen, first of all, I'm a good realtor. I
You-
just want to say that.
that
And
you
the
are.
way you find a good realtor, and I'm not just saying that, but
Mhm.
you find a good realtor, one that has a proven track record, one that knows the market in which you're purchasing in your state. And let me talk about the state of Texas. In the state of Texas, I can list a home or sell a home anywhere from border to border because I'm licensed in the state. You got to have someone that is experienced. Like I said earlier, this is not the market for a first-time realtor, for a realtor that just got their license. This is the time for a realtor that has a proven track record, that understands not just the real estate market, but they understand mortgage as well. You don't know how many realtors walk into a title company and title companies ignore them because they don't understand the entire process. I think you should have a realtor that understands real estate, they understand the mortgage, and they understand the title company. They understand every part of the process. And that's the best realtor to have. Not just have your friend, your family member. You want somebody that represents you and holds up to their fiduciary duty to make sure they're representing you in the transaction. And you've got to trust that realtor and not send that realtor through a ringer because they're not getting you what you want. They're getting you what's best in this market because that realtor knows what's going on. And for good realtors, they're not really after the money. They want you to be happy whatever you do. That's a good realtor.
That's
I'm
true.
a good realtor. And
You
if
are.
you live in this area, you can call me.
That's right. You
All
can.
right.
She is a good. Do you want to give your information before? Because we'll give
Absolutely.
it now, and then we'll give again before we log out.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Valerie Crumpton. You can Google me, whatever, look me up on Facebook, anywhere, I am there. And my number is 817-891-5590. Our email address is team, T-E-A-M Crumpton, Crumpton @gmail.com. I'm with JP and Associates in Arlington, Texas. And I love where I am and what I do.
Mhm.
All
And
right.
so, because we have a few more minutes.
And I have another
and-
question I want to ask her. I forgot.
Okay, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
You sure? Okay. I
Mhm.
forgot to ask you when trying to purchase a home, does a high student loan balance affect the process?
A student loan?
A high student loan balance.
Oh my goodness, this is the $50,000 question. So student loans, depending on what kind, because a student loan is a government loan for the
Mhm.
most part. When you do FAFSA to go to school and you get a student loan, it's a government-backed loan. And you better know if you're getting an FHA that the government is looking at your student loan, whether it's in default, whether you've paid on time. They take all that into consideration, and your student loan can knock you out of buying a house.
Oh, wow.
So what's good about a student loan is if your student loan is in deferment, it's
Mhm.
got to be in deferment. And then they can, the mortgage company can look at your student loan, see how long your deferment is. But what they do is they do count it into your bottom line. So what you qualify for. So say your student loan is $500 a month. They will count that in your debt to ratio income, right?
Okay.
So that when it comes out of deferment, they'll know you'll be able to make that payment. So
Okay.
that's how student loans are. And student loans, because if you get a conventional loan, there's a different process um, because conventional loans are private investor loans. They handle them a little differently. But a student loan can make a difference in whether you purchase a home or not. You can have done bankruptcy. You can still purchase a home. But when it comes to a student loan, it can it can be detrimental to your purchase if it's not done correctly. So you
Okay.
need to make sure the mortgage company knows what they're doing when it comes to a student loan.
Okay. Okay.
Someone was asking online, I guess when you mentioned a couple of years, she said a couple of years, when you're staying in, and I'm assuming this is Nichelle K. She mentioned a couple of years, and I'm assuming she's talking about when you mentioned about renting a place, you need to have a couple of years, plan. Can you just expound on that? Because she put question mark, question mark, question mark. Can you kind of clarify that?
That's my
Yeah.
cousin, and she's asking if she was questioning how long it was going to take for the housing market to balance back out.
Oh,
When
okay.
Dr. Crum
Okay.
just said a couple of years. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah, so I still would like to expound upon that.
that's fine.
You can, let me back up and preface that with this. You can purchase now. If you sell your current home and you have the money coming back that you want, you can purchase now if that's your desire. It depends on where you want to purchase, how much you want to purchase, how much money you want to spend, you can purchase now. But if you have a plan and you're taking the money and not going to purchase right now, you're going to wait for the market to correct itself.
Mhm.
My suggestion is that you make a plan for 2 years, 2 to 5 years. It may not take that long, but at least be prepared for a 2 to 5 year span where you'll be ready to purchase when that market corrects itself. Hopefully
Okay.
that helped.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I do have a question. What about investors? People who are their own, investors, not companies, but people who want to invest. They want to keep their home or they already have a home that's paid off. What
Mhm.
about those people getting back into the market, but for an investment purpose?
Yeah.
Because now, I have another question behind that, but so what about investors?
Yeah. So right now, the big money investors are swallowing up the mom and pop investors.
Okay.
Right now, you got to come with the money. Hard money loans are coming back a little bit. I don't really suggest hard money loans. That's a different story for a different day. I don't want to even get into that today. But if you do want to purchase a mom and pop, if you will, 10% down, 10% is your down payment, your minimum down payment. You can get a loan, but you're going to have to come to the table correctly. Right now, investors are coming with full cash. So getting back into the market will determine where you want to purchase, whether it's a condo. Right now, a condo probably is the better way to get into the investment market. But getting a home in a low area where it's maybe a fixer upper, you're still going to pay more for it than you would in another market. But the fact of the matter is, if you're an investor, you'll sit on it and you'll know that it's going to take time to turn it around and correct itself. So you don't invest to turn around and sell it right now. You're investing in a long-term project right now if you are going to get in the game right now.
Are the interest rates for those investors, what does that look like?
So if I'm not mistaken, the interest rates for investors right now are somewhere, it depends on their interest rate. I'm sorry, on their credit score, because it is still credit score driven. It depends. Those interest rates are right around 4-5% for investors right now.
Okay. Okay.
Do they still look at the fact that if a person is considered debt heavy, even if they just have real estate properties, do they look at that still?
For investors?
Yeah.
Yeah, they still have to qualify.
Okay.
The more they bring to the table,
Okay.
the less, it lowers their debt to ratio income,
Right.
DTI. Yes, that's right. So it lowers that, but again, they do take that into consideration unless they're buying in the name of a LLC or some company name or something like that. If they've restructured, if they're buying it in their personal name, of course, they're going to take that into consideration.
Would it be better to buy in an LLC versus your company, your name?
It's always better to buy in an LLC if it's an investment, but it depends on what your end game is. Again, it's a plan. It's a plan, just like your 401k, just like any other stock option that you might have. When you get into investing in real estate, it is still a plan. You don't just buy without a plan.
Correct. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
This has been so good.
This has been a lot of information.
It has.
Wow. This is good. And I'm excited, and we're right on time with this.
Yes.
As we begin to wrap up things, because we're going to wrap this up shortly, what else do you think, or Chantel, I don't want to cut you off with your questions. Okay. What would you suggest, because we're going to give you information once again before we end, but for, again, the first time home buyer, and they're nervous, but they want to buy a house, but they're nervous, and they've watched this video and they want to step out. What is the first step right now? Well,
the first step would be to call me and let me direct you. And don't be so afraid that you talk to so many other people. Yeah. And so many other people get in your ear. This is always a problem with a first-time home buyer, because they're first time and they're afraid. So they feel like they have to reach out to everybody to get advice. Right. But you have to trust the realtor that you're working with, and don't think they're trying to take you for your money or just throw you into something. They are trying to make sure you get the best for your first time, and realize it is your first time. Right. So you may not get everything that you want. You see it as an investment. This is not your forever home.
Right.
People use that term so often. You don't know, but you may be transferred to another state. It's not your forever home. It is your first home, and
Right.
you will buy again.
Yeah.
So trust the person that you are calling to help you, and trust that they're not trying to take you. And don't reach out to so many people that you get confused. Stay
Mhm.
focused. Listen to the realtor that you choose. Listen to the mortgage person that you choose. Everything is a choice. You can make that choice, but just make sure you make the right choice so you'll feel good about your purchase.
Yeah, I've purchased homes over the years a few times, and so one of the things that I can add to this that you just said, not only trust the realtor, but I ask a lot of questions. If you're not clear about something, it never hurts to ask a
That's
question.
right.
Absolutely.
And if you're not clear on what's going on or you're confused about the process, ask the question, because really that's what the realtor's there for, with their expertise. When you talked
Mhm.
about the fiduciary experience, it's the realtor who has this experience of the market, and they can answer your questions. And don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be,
Right.
there's no stupid question, because you
No,
put money out there. So there's no stupid
no
question.
stupid question.
Ask the question. And if you're not clear, write down some things and ask some questions. It is a scary thing. And when you first do
It
it,
is. Mhm.
like I said, I've done it a few times,
Yeah.
and doing it a few times, even my last purchase was a smooth purchase,
Yes, it was.
but it was a smooth purchase. But and because I've done it a few times, it didn't rattle me when things came up, because things do come up.
Mhm.
And you mentioned earlier about this whole thing about the bidding war and people getting out there, and there are a lot of offers on a house, and
Yep.
so that shouldn't discourage. Don't let that discourage you. It's all about
That's
the
right.
game at this point, and
Mhm.
how do we work in the game? And one thing I can say about Dr. Crumpton is that she will work for you, and because she worked for me and my family, and it was a good experience. So please, we're going to give her information again.
Yes.
Chantel, before we wrap up and give information, what would you like to say before we wrap it up?
I would just like to say, plan what you want to do with your home before you do it. Because I was thinking about selling my home. Some of those questions I asked were about me and selling my home right now. But I don't have a plan because I don't want to pay the rent. So I would just say have a plan so you can know where you're going. And call Dr. Crumpton.
Yes, Chantel, I can help you. I can help you, Chantel, with a plan.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I just wanted to say to something that Charlene said, ask questions. Just don't ask everybody.
Right.
Yes.
Ask your
The
realtor,
realtor. Right.
because your realtor should be knowledgeable, and what he or she doesn't know, they have the wherewithal to find out.
Mhm.
Um, Even looking online doesn't have all the information that you need.
Mhm.
Um, the realtor who has to be licensed, who has to test, who has to know the law, that's the person you want to trust with your home buying experience.
That's
And you
right.
want it to be a good one.
Yeah.
Don't get upset. This is for first time home buyers.
Hmm.
Don't get upset. Be patient, because it will work out for you if
Well,
you hang in there. If you
Hmm.
hang in.
it will. And Chantel and I had talked about some of her choices, and so I'm gonna say this publicly, okay, Chantel,
That's
that
fine.
all those things that you want, she can get them for you.
Okay.
Okay, she can get them for you. So all those things,
Okay.
all the bells, all the whistles, she can get
Okay.
what she can. So as we wrap up, Dr. Crumpton, So, again, thank you so much. You know, we were getting a
Yeah.
lot of feedback and people asking questions about this. And so you have provided this. We will also be on YouTube. It's streamed
Yes.
out to all of our social networks, social media. It's also on Dr. Crumpton's page as well. But we will be on YouTube. Chantel will be posting this on YouTube later on today. And so you can go back and you can look at it. You can kind of reminisce over it and ruminate over it to get yourself, you know, into this game, because that's what it's all about. It's about a game for you to win, and you will win. That's
You
the
will
goal.
win.
You will
Yes.
win. So
Yes.
Dr. Crumpton, as we wrap up, can you please give your information slowly again, your name and your information?
And I want to first thank Charlene and Chantel for having me for this hour. I enjoy what I do as a realtor. And it is my second love. And I appreciate the opportunity to reach out to the public about what we do, because we got to be good stewards in what we do, how we fund our money, how we invest. And I want you to know, especially in the Black community, in the African American community, renting is not the way. Buying a home, that is the way. And you should always have ownership. I don't care if it's a condo, I don't care if it's a townhome, I don't care if it's a home. Whatever it is, you should own it, because you are investing in you, in your family, and in years to come. If you want a return on your money, it takes responsibility. Now, you do have to take some the least responsibility is a condo, the least, but at least it's in your name. You're buying some airspace. Whatever you do, purchase something. My name is Valerie Crumpton. I am with JP and Associates Arlington. My number is 817-891-5590. Text me before you call me so I'll know that you're texting me about real estate. My email address is team, T-E-A-M Crumpton, Crumpton, one word, Team Crumpton @gmail.com.
All righty. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
For
you.
joining us.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.